The city was alive with a symphony of sounds at night, neon lights flickering like fireflies against the dark sky as I approached the cozy bistro on 5th and Elm. It was our first date, and I was excited, butterflies fluttering in my stomach. I had met Jordan through mutual friends, a stud with a confident aura, piercing eyes that hinted at untold stories, and a smile that could melt ice. She seemed perfect, the kind of person you couldn't help but be drawn to. I stepped inside, the aroma of roasted garlic and freshly baked bread wrapping around me like a comforting blanket. Jordan stood at the bar, her short hair impeccably styled, exuding an effortless coolness. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. "Lexi," she greeted me with that dazzling smile. "You look amazing." We settled into a corner booth, the city's chaos muted by the bistro's cozy ambience. The candlelight flickered softly, casting playful shadows on Jordan's face as we talked about our favorite bands and travel destinations. She was captivating, her voice smooth and rich, drawing me into her world. But as the evening progressed, I noticed her glancing over my shoulder, her eyes narrowing slightly, her smile tightening. "Everything okay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. She nodded, but her eyes betrayed her. "Yeah, just thought I saw someone I knew." We ordered another round of drinks, and as we clinked glasses, I heard the bistro's door swing open with a loud creak. The atmosphere shifted, a sudden tension crackling in the air. I turned to see a woman standing in the doorway, her eyes locked onto Jordan with a mixture of fury and obsession. She was tall, with wild eyes and a disheveled appearance that set my nerves on edge. Jordan's face paled. She muttered under her breath, "That's Michelle, my ex." Michelle walked toward us with an unwavering gaze. "Jordan," she said, her voice laced with menace. "So this is why you aren't answering your phone?" "Michelle, please," Jordan's voice was stern, but I could hear the underlying fear. "We're just having dinner." Michelle's eyes flicked to me, and I felt the chill run down my spine. "And who's this?" she sneered, her voice dripping with venom. I opened my mouth to respond, but Jordan squeezed my hand, a silent plea for me to stay quiet. "Michelle, leave her out of this, this is between me and you." But Michelle wasn't listening. She reached into her coat and pulled out a glinting knife, the dim light catching the blade and sending a shiver of terror through me. The bistro's patrons fell silent, all eyes on the unfolding drama. "So Jordan, you think you can just play me?" Michelle's voice was a low growl, her eyes wild with rage. "I loved you." "Michelle, put the knife down," Jordan said, her voice steady but her eyes wide with fear. "Let's talk about this." But Michelle didn't respond. She lunged forward. I screamed, pushing back against the booth, my heart pounding in my chest. Jordan reacted quickly, grabbing a plate and swinging it at Michelle, knocking her off balance. The bistro erupted into chaos as some patrons scrambled to distance themselves and others left. "Run, Lexi!" Jordan yelled, her voice cutting through the panic. I bolted from the booth, my heart racing, stumbling through the crowd toward the exit. I could hear the sounds of a struggle behind me, Jordan's grunts of effort mingling with Michelle's enraged screams. I burst out onto the street, gasping for breath, my mind reeling. Moments later, Jordan emerged, blood trickling from a cut on her arm, but otherwise unharmed. She grabbed my hand, pulling me away from the bistro. "We need to go," she said urgently, her eyes scanning the street for any sign of Michelle. We ran through the city's labyrinthine streets, the sound of sirens growing distant as we put as much distance as possible between us and the bistro. My heart pounded in my chest. Eventually, we stopped, breathless and trembling, in a quiet alley. Jordan turned to me, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and regret. "I'm so sorry, Lexi." The adrenaline from our frantic escape coursed through me, my breath came in ragged gasps as I leaned against the cool brick wall of the alley. Jordan stood close, her eyes searching mine, flickering with relief and something deeper, something raw and urgent. She was still gripping my hand, her fingers interlaced with mine, and in that moment, it felt like the rest of the world had melted away, leaving just us in the quiet cocoon of the night. I could see the concern etched into the lines of her brow, and I opened my mouth to say something comforting, to reassure her that I wasn't afraid. But before I could speak, she stepped closer, her breath warm against my skin. Her other hand slid up my arm, and without thinking, I tilted my face towards hers, my eyes fluttering closed as she leaned in. Our lips met in a kiss that burned through me like wildfire. Passion erupted within me, igniting every nerve, and for a moment, I was lost in her. The chaos of the night, the frantic flight through the city, all evaporated in that kiss. We moved closer into each other and I could feel her heartbeat against my chest, felt the warming of her body against mine, and I never wanted it to end. But when we finally pulled away, both of us breathless, the world crashed back down around us. A voice, sharp and furious, cut through our bliss like a knife. "Jordan!" We turned as one, and there was Michelle, standing at the beginning of the alley. Her face twisted into a mask of rage, and she charged forward, her footsteps echoing off the brick walls. "Michelle!" "No!" Jordan shouted, but it was too late. Michelle was upon her in an instant, the knife flashing as she struck. I screamed as Jordan crumpled to the ground, clutching her side, her breath coming in shallow, desperate gasps. Michelle stood over her, the knife slick with blood, her eyes burning with a frenzied hatred. I stumbled back, my mind reeling with terror, but I couldn't look away from the horror unfolding before me. "You really tried to play me?" Michelle snarled, her voice a guttural growl. "You played me!" Jordan tried to push herself up, her face twisted in agony, but Michelle brought the knife down again, and the alley was filled with Jordan's strangled cries. I don't remember turning to run, only that my legs carried me blindly down the alley and into the night. My heart thundered in my chest as I dashed through the city's streets, the neon lights blurring around me. All I could see was Jordan's face, twisted in pain, and the cruel glint of Michelle's knife. I didn't stop running until I reached my apartment, my hands fumbling with the keys as I locked myself inside. I collapsed onto the floor, sobs racking my body as the full weight of what had happened crashed down on me. The next day, memory of that kiss in the alley haunted me, a fleeting taste of passion tainted by blood. Jordan was gone, and Michelle was still out there somewhere. The city felt darker, more dangerous, and now I know for a fact that I would never date a stud again.